Okay, so on that note, let's begin the fourth chapter or Adhyay Char after Karma Yoga that we studied in the chapter 3. This chapter is termed as Divya Gyan. Let's see what Gyan is entailed in this. It begins with Krishna speaking. Shri Bhagwan Uwach Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavan Aham Avyayam Vivasvan Manave Graha Manu Ikshuvake Abravit. So Shri Krishna tells Arjun that this divine Yoga Vidya, which he is speaking to him through Bhagavad Gita, is what he told to Surya or the god, sun god. And then Vivaswan passed on this message to Ikshvaku, who was the father of Manu. And that's how this knowledge or this wisdom sort of progressed. So, so Yoga Vidya is where he's speaking about these Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga through Bhagavad Gita. That is the Yoga Vidya he's talking about. So, in a way, so this sort of tells me that although it is happening at a particular time and space during the war of Mahabharata, but what Krishna is saying that this knowledge or this wisdom has been prevalent for very, very long time, which means this is not the beginning point of Bhagavad Gita, but in this particular shape and form, it comes when there is this dialogue happening with Krishna and Arjun, which sort of further implies that wisdom is just like God or universe, it's sort of omnipresent. So it's like truth. Doesn't have a beginning or an end. It's ever prevalent. Evam parampara praptam imam rajrishyah vidusah kalen ih mahata yoga nashtah param tapa. And so that's how, through the Guru Shishya Parampara, this particular wisdom goes from sages to the kings and to the other people. However, he says in through the passage of time, this Guru Shishya Parampara, when it doesn't stay any longer, somehow all this wisdom sort of vanishes. And so this also tells me that how we now feel like, oh my God, all this knowledge that we are coming in touch with now through reading Bhagavad Gita was always known to all the people in the past. Whereas it says no. So it seems like there is this cyclic nature of past where some uh, certain systems sort of enhance the passing on of this wisdom. And then there comes a phase of time where those ways or those rituals or those systems sort of vanish. And so there's all these things of knowledge also take a back seat and something else comes up. And then comes another way when it sort of shows up, that wisdom. Sa eva ayam maya te adya yoga prokta puratana bhakta asime sakha cha iti rahasyam hi etat uttamam. And so he says that today, through me, this wisdom is coming to you because you are my friend, you are my disciple, and so you can really understand the secret in this wisdom. Then Arjun says, Aparam bhavato janma param janam vivasvatah katham etad dvijaniyam tvam ado proktavan iti. Then Arjun says that he's speaking to Krishna now. He says that Krishna, you spoke about Surya Dev Vivaswan, who is somebody who's elder to you or who existed in this world before you were even born. Then how are you saying that you gave this knowledge or this wisdom to him when you were not even born there? Then Krishna says, Shri Bhagwan Uvach, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tav cha Arjun tani aham veda sarvani na tvam vedha param tapa. He says, you and I, we have taken a lot of births. I remember all of those births that I've taken before now, but you do not remember them. That's why you're asking me a question like this. So, again, itself, I think this sort of reiterates that how our soul or Atma is anashwar. It, it never dies, it just keeps taking birth in different shapes and forms, personalities. अजः अपि सन् अव्यय आत्मा भूतानाम् ईश्वरः अपि सन् प्रकृतिं स्वाम् अधिष्ठाय संभवामि आत्ममायया. Then Krishna says, although I am ajanma, avinashi, like something that cannot take birth or cannot be destroyed, he says, although my true reality is that I am indestructible or I cannot take birth, still I am the Lord of all the jivas or all the existence in this world. And that is why in every yuga, I come in the form of my divine self. And so, yuga here, I would say, is that in Hinduism, we say that the time is divided into four major periods of Satyug, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is the time which is going on right now. Satyug was the time when we read the stories about the trinity of gods, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and a lot of other devas and asuras, the gods or the demons. Then Treta Yuga is when the story of Bhagwan Ram happened, and Ram is considered to be the avatar of Vishnu. And then in Dwapar, it was Krishna. And for Kali Yuga, we don't know yet. I heard of Kalki Avatar, which is sort of a lot of people believe that is going to happen or take place by the end of Kali Yuga or so. So that's what Krishna is saying, that although I, as a consciousness, the consciousness doesn't take birth or cannot get destroyed, but in the form of human body, he comes in every yuga. And next comes one of my favorite verse. Yada yada hi dharmasya ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्. Here, Bharat is not a word which describes the name of our country, India, but Bharat is for Arjuna, because it basically comes from Bharat. Bharat. So Bharata means Bharatvanshi, somebody who belongs to the lineage of Bharat. And Bharat was the son of Dushyant and Shakuntala, from where this lineage came into being, to which Arjun belongs. So he uses the word Bharata to describe Arjun, and he says, whenever there is ever, he says, I'll say it again, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavti. Like whenever dharma, goes down in any of the yugas or time. And whenever adharma starts to rise up, at that time, I come in this world in the human form to bring the balance between, to create the balance and to again bring the dharma to rise up again. And dharma here is primarily the rightful deeds or the rightful actions or our alignment to our values and sense of purpose. Uh, Bharat is so there used to be this story about King Dushyant who marries Shakuntala. Shakuntala, who was Rishi Karna's goddaughter, and he comes and he sees her, and so he marries her, and then he goes away. But then he forgets about her, and then when she goes to meet him, he doesn't recognize her. So from Shakuntala, the child who took birth was the King Bharat, who was one of the very prominent king happened in the old times. And it is considered that the name of our country, Bharat, came on the name of this King Bharat. I don't know if he's from the same lineage as Lord Ram because the lineage of Ram was usually called as the Suryavanshis or the ones from the lineage of Surya or Lord Sun. And the Kauravas and Pandavas were called as Chandravanshis, I think, from the lineage of Moon. So I don't know what is the historical significance of all of that, or if this is the same lineage just called differently in different times, but um, they can be different as well. परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापना अर्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. जिस भक्तों का उद्धार करने और दुष्टों का विनाश करने तथा धर्म की फिर से स्थापना करने के लिए मैं हर युग में प्रकट होता हूँ. So he says to bless the deities, to the disciples. And when he says dushto, it's not necessarily, I think, to the people but the wrongdoing basically. So to promote the dharma and to destroy the wrongdoings or the wrongdoers, I take birth in every yuga. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yah vetti tatvatah tyaktava deham punah janma na eti mam eti sa Arjuna. He says, हे अर्जुन, जो मेरे अविर्भाव तथा कर्मों की दिव्य प्रकृति को जानता है, वह इस शरीर को छोड़ने पर इस भौतिक संसार में पुनः जन्म नहीं लेता, अपितु मेरे सनातन धाम को प्राप्त होता है. So he says that every person who understands, who grasps the meaning of this divine nature or the truth of his or her divine nature, once they leave their body, once their consciousness leaves the body, they do not get birth again. They are not born again. He says, Sanatan Dham, which is also considered to be maybe Swarg in the Puranic stories. But he says Sanatan Dham, I would say, is a place or an abode of the resting place of the souls or consciousness. So he says you need to become aware of or grasp the divine nature of your existence. and do your karma without getting entangled in the karmic results or outcomes, and then you can achieve what is also called as moksha in Hinduism. So there are four different purusharths which are said for all the human beings, or doable deeds in this world: dharma, arth, kam, and moksha. So dharma is your rightful duty or your sense of purpose. Arth is to get involved into the process of creation of wealth, generation of wealth. Kam means to seek and enjoy whatever the gifts life has to give yourself, to give you the indulgence. And then finally, the moksha, which is the liberation. And so Krishna in this one says that one who lives their life as a liberated being is eventually actually liberated, and they do not need to again come in this cyclic nature of the karma in the world. वीत राग भय क्रोध मनन मनमया माम उपाश्रितः वह ज्ञान तपसा पूतः मत भावम आगतः। आसक्ति, भय तथा क्रोध से मुक्त होकर मुझ में पूर्णतया तन्मय होकर और मेरी शरण में आकर बहुत से व्यक्ति भूतकाल में मेरे ज्ञान से पवित्र हो चुके हैं। इस प्रकार से उन सबों ने मेरे प्रति दिव्य प्रेम को प्राप्त किया है। So again here the essence is that asakti means attachment or obsession, fear and anger. So people who make themselves free from obsession or indulgence or attachment, fear or anger, and who completely immerse themselves in the bhakti of the divine. So he says pavitra. I don't know what would be the correct, I think austere or pure. So they become, so with the divine knowledge, they become really pure. Yeah. And he says they receive that divine love when they let go of these three ills. Ye yatha mam prapadyante तान तथा एव भजामि अहम मम वर्तम अनुवर्तन्ते मनुष्यः पार्थ सर्वशः। जिस भाव से सारे लोग मेरी शरण को ग्रहण करते हैं उसी के अनुरूप मैं उन्हें फल देता हूँ। हे पार्थ, प्रत्येक व्यक्ति सभी प्रकार से मेरे पथ का अनुगमन करता है। This is so true. He says the bhav or the intention with which people come to me or to God, in the same way they receive the phal or the outcome of their prayers. So in a way, he says, every person just follows the path of the God. So what I understand is that invariably everybody is following the path of the God. It's just that depending upon our personal awareness and intention, we seek different outcomes and then we receive different outcomes as well. So if somebody prays, and it's so true as well, because we see people, so many people go to temples or churches or mosques or all these places of worships, or some people go to some gurus, or some people just worship within their own homes, but with different intentions and with different understanding. And that somewhere also represents their way of being and way of living. which I think is what Krishna is saying is the outcome that they are receiving. And so, what I understand from this is that it's not really as much about whether we are worshipping the god or not, but it mostly lies with our own bhava or our own intentions. So, the intention with which we will approach God, the same outcome we are going to receive.
So, are you saying, Komal, that this verse says that the God literally honors what you are asking?
Yes.
So if you are in the money making business, you only want to just keep on increasing your wealth. That's the path you'll follow. If you're looking for wisdom, you will find wisdom coming your way.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you are seeking is seeking you, what Rumi says,
Yes, exactly.
coming from there. I'm just trying to look into my life. That is that what has happened all the time? Or
Yeah.
I'm looking for contradictions and where it completely fits.
Somewhere I say this statement, what you seek seeks you, or seeking you. When I remember this or when I hear this, it gives me a lot of peace, because sometimes what happens is we're not able to as clearly see the outcome that is ahead of us, but knowing that, okay, it's actually guided by my own intention, or what is it that I'm deeply dearly seeking to receive, I will get. It's also a sort of an assurity that yes, that is coming my way. Maybe I'm not able to see it in the moment, but that is how it's going to happen. So it brings a lot of peace, a lot of acceptance in the moment,
A lot of power.
and a lot of power as well. Yes.
I think whatever little miracles I have created in my life, it's only come from this space because you're never able to see the outcome. You only believe in your vision, right? And when then suddenly there's a surge of energy and you start working towards it, it's only the belief that drives you. And when you don't have the belief, your body is not even able to lift the finger.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. There's that's where we also can see and understand the differences right here in our bodies, because some thought patterns can really drive us in so much of anxiety and so much of a discomfort. And then are some other thought patterns, there are some other words or ways which immediately sort of put us at ease. And I think that's what happens when we hear somebody like Rumi or something from Bhagavad Gita where say what you seek is seeking you. It's sort of, if you just reflect on it, it has that capacity to put you at ease in a moment. And that's how we know that it's actually true. It is truth. It's not a fallacy, it's not a lie, or it's not a something just said to deceive you, but it has some truth because it functions and it operates at our body level. And this is reminding me of what I read in David Hawkins' book. His entire work on put, putting up a map of consciousness has happened or has come from kinesiology, where they use the body or the body's strength to estimate whether some statement or something is true or not. So, what science also says is that when something is truth, it goes on, and when you experience the truth, you find some sort of a strength within your body is at ease and your body goes stronger. Whereas when you come across something which is not good for you or is not true, your body weakens. And that's the experiment which he used. And so there's a lot of dots connecting here, I think.
That reminds me, you need to get that book for me, Komal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank
Please
you.
don't forget it for Thursday. Get it
I
for
will
me.
not. Okay. I'll bring the book.
Komal, this also is reminding me of multiple quotes I've heard from philosophers, writers, scientists. I think those people, when they create a miracle, they come to the conclusion what Gita is saying to us because they've experienced that. The way I think to a large extent, you and me are also talking about it with conviction because we experienced it at whatever level.
Yeah.
So I can't recall whether it was Emerson or who. He said a very, that quote I read some good 10, 11 years back, and it baffled me when I read it that if you have dreamt about something or thought about something, it has come to you only because you are capable of doing it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have not even occurred to you.
Thank you for saying that. And thank you for telling me that it's a quote. It's something said by somebody else also, because I just absolutely believe in it. It's like whatever, if you have a capability to think or vision or know something, you have a capacity to have it, to create it as well. Whether you exercise on it or not is a different thing, but that capacity is there within us.
If you truly believe in this statement and what is being said, you will automatically have the energy and you will automatically exercise it. You can't
Yeah.
let go of it once you realize that this has come to me. So, and also, you know what Einstein says that imagination is more powerful than knowledge. It's a clear thing. He's saying that first you have the vision and then you fulfill it, and the vision is coming to you. That means you're capable. So, Walt Disney, when he thought of all this entire Disneyland and the whole empire, I mean, he would have definitely thought to himself, what an idiot I am that I'm thinking of such a big thing. But
Mm.
then inside of himself, he must have known that if it has come to me, must be for a good reason.
Yeah.
I am capable of it. And I think this is the difference between you and me, Walt Disney or Einstein or any one of us, that people who believe it, who take action, they end up doing extraordinary things. And those who don't believe it and let that go of that thought, they lose on a precious opportunity.
Absolutely. It all lies in the way we look at these things and the meaning that we assign to them. Like, do we call imagination like just a fancy waste of time, or we use it as a real capacity that we have or capability?
Yeah.
Mm.
And in that sense, I see an Arjuna in all of us. If
We
we
are all,
begin to look at ourselves as, and I see all the coaches as the Krishnas. So the moment you have a Krishna in your life, and that Krishna need not be outside of you, it can be your coaching your own self and having that Krishna over your head. You can be the Arjun with that kind of focus and that kind of ability to win wars, whatever life offers you.
yeah, absolutely. And in a way, I think this Krishna and Arjun is just a duality. I think we all have both uh, Arjun and Krishna in all of us. Depends what we align to.
I fully agree with you. Goosebumps.
Yeah. Had goosebumps. Okay. So the
We have
next,
everything inside us. We even have the Kauravas inside us. We
yeah.
have the Duryodhan inside us. We have everything inside us. We have everything. We just have to believe who's going to be the prominent energy, and that energy rises up. And that's why we find ourselves in different stages of life on different in different times. I can be a real Duryodhan with some of the people in my life. Like really, my worst side comes out.
This is so interesting. And thank you for saying this because that point was coming in my mind earlier. Sometimes we feel like, okay, I am this and I don't have that. Like, there are certain things which we like in us or like in others, and there are certain things which we absolutely can't stand. And we see them in other people and we're like, oh my God, this person is bad or this person is horrible. But what we do not realize is if we are able to observe or notice some quality in other people, first of all, that quality has to be inside us as well.
Yeah.
That means we also have that same characteristic. We are capable of behaving or acting like that, just that we would like to believe that I am not that, but I cannot even have the capacity to notice something in others if first I do not have that in me.
True. So true.
So when we come to that understanding, then we know, like, okay, so what's the point of envy, or what's the point of hatred, or what's the point of anger or anything? Anyways, let's move on to Gita before we go into Carl Jung and the others. Analysis aspect of personality. This time is for Gita. So next verse, Krishna says, काङ्क्षन्तः कर्मणां सिद्धिं यजन्ते इह देवताः क्षिप्रं हि मनुष्ये लोके सिद्धि भवति कर्मजा. He says, इस संसार में मनुष्य सकाम कर्मों में सिद्धि चाहते हैं, फलस्वरूप वे देवी देवताओं की पूजा करते हैं. निस्संदेह इस संसार में मनुष्यों को सकाम कर्म का फल शीघ्र प्राप्त होता है. So he's talking about majority of people would always want some outcome or desire something, and that's why they pray to the god, and that is why we see also that those outcomes come pretty easy to most of the people. चातुः वर्ण्यं मया सृष्टं गुणकर्म विभागशः तस्य कर्तारम् अपि मां विद्धि अकर्तारम् अव्ययम्. प्रकृति के तीनों गुणों और उससे संबद्ध कर्म के अनुसार मेरे द्वारा मानव समाज के 4 विभाग रचे गए. यद्यपि मैं इस व्यवस्था का सृष्टा हूं, किंतु तुम यह जान लो कि मैं इतने पर भी अव्यय अकर्ता हूं. So he says that although I have sort of created this entire world, this entire universe, I have also created the nature and the 3 gunas of sattva, rajas, and tamas. And then, according to those 3 gunas, I have created 4 different segregations of kshatriya, brahman, vaishya, and shudra, depending upon the capabilities of different individuals, and the combinations of these 3 gunas. Still understand that I am not the doer of any of those actions, or the executor of any of those gunas, though I have created those. न माम कर्माणि लिम्पन्ति न मे कर्म फले स्पृहा इति माम यह अभिजानाति कर्म भी न स बध्यते. मुझ पर किसी कर्म का प्रभाव नहीं पड़ता, ना ही मैं कर्म फल की कामना करता हूँ। जो मेरे संबंध में इस सत्य को जानता है, वह भी कर्मों के फल के पाश में नहीं बंधता. So he says that on me, there is no impact of any action or any karma, and neither do I desire the outcome of any particular action. And anybody who knows this truth about me, even that person doesn't get entangled in this karmic journey or in this desire for a particular outcome or the obsession for a particular action. So in a way he says that, sort of distinguishes that it's the consciousness that is the creator of this life, this world, all the elements, all the compositions, all different societal segregations. But despite that, the consciousness doesn't get involved in or doesn't get entangled with any of the actions that are happening or taking place because of the reactions or the relationships of these different natural elements. It stays aloof. I wouldn't say aloof, but it stays indifferent. It's like I have created a game and now I'm just standing on the side and just observing it like an observer, indifferent to what happens and what goes on in the game. And in a way, I think these verses are giving us an idea of like, how do we be? Because for us humans, the attachment starts to happen with a sense of self, like, okay, I did this or I created this, and then that gets us entangled into the entire system and process. And he says that as God, I've created the entire world, but still I'm not a part of it. I'm not taking any part into the karmic journey or into this game. So take it as an example, understand your role that yes, you are a player in the game, but do not own the game. Be the observer, and then that's how you can become liberated from this cyclic nature. I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, totally. We have operated enough out of I to know the kind of misery it created. So even if you don't believe, you got to try this now.
Yeah. And I think in a way, it's more like if somebody says that, oh, I did this, and then should I not even be attached to it, or should I not even take the credit and say, well, God created this entire world? Is the God taking credit for anything? It's a sort of reminder.
It's
Yeah.
very tough, Komal. Like I even think sometimes people tell me, can I share the piece of poetry you wrote? And I actually say it from my heart when I say that, this piece of poetry came from the universe and is supposed to go into the universe. But if
Yeah.
come to think of it, if somebody puts their name under that piece of poetry, I'm sure I'll get disappointed. I'm sure I'll get irritated. At that time, I'll not be able to accept that somebody else is taking ownership of it. What I wrote, my I is going to rise there, even though I will believe that.
Mm.
मतलब मेरा नाम जाए ना जाए. So if you share my piece of poetry, not saying that it's Manmeet's, I'm okay. But if somebody else's name is there, I'm going to say कि नहीं ये तो मेरा है.
Mm. But I see a different element to it then. Then that become so at a very deeper consciousness level, it doesn't really make a difference who's done what. But in a way, when somebody tries to claim a credit which is not due to them but is of somebody else, they are actually getting into a huge karmic burden. There is one of the In yamas and niyamas in yoga, there is a particular principle which is considered that if you're going on the journey of yoga, then you need to follow certain rules for yourself, your own self practice, and then in relationship to other people. And one of them is called aparigraha, which means you will not attempt to take what is not yours. And that doesn't just suffice to the objects or the things, but also the intangible things, like the appreciation which is not due to you, you will not claim that, or the ownership of something which is actually not due to you. And these are the principles to to hold ourselves in a very congenial boundary in this world, and to make it easy for everybody else. Like, what is due to somebody else, give them that reverence, or give them that acknowledgement or that appreciation. So when you say that you don't have a problem uh, somebody not mentioning your name, but if somebody else like wrongfully mentioned somebody else's name, then that is going to make an impact to you, which is right. Because at that point of time, that somebody is trying to create a negative karma for themselves, and somewhere including you, making you a party to it as well. So to be mindful of that and just say that, hey, listen, be mindful who need to be acknowledged for what. I think it's not wrong. In a way, by reminding the other people, you would actually be helping them not go the wrong path.
Komal, shouldn't the karmic burden which this person is bringing upon him or herself by claiming something which doesn't belong to that person as his own also up to the universe? Who am I to interfere? And if I say, as calmly as you said, still makes sense to me. I don't think we are calm when something of this sort happens. We get irritated, agitated, we even call names in our head. He's a liar, he's a cheater, what a fraud, what a fake. बहुत कुछ negative we create for ourselves in that process. So who am I?
So, that's what I'm saying. If if our natural response or reaction to somebody's action is like, fine, it doesn't matter, it is not raising anything within me, then that means that it's up to the universe. Their karma, they will see and let it be. But if it is raising something within me, if it is bringing me some feelings, that means that I am connected to it in a certain way. And then I need to look within me and act out of my own personal integrity and take an action which eases or which helps me go beyond this attachment. And that action would probably be directly addressing it. If it really doesn't impact me, anybody's action, then it's fine. Then I don't even need to bat an eyelid or raise a question at all. But if it is impacting me, then I need to take an action. And then that action can be different. That comes from what sort of awareness I have. So I can either, say certain things about or make certain opinions about that person in my own mind and don't say anything, avoid conflict and stay quiet. Even in that, I have done some action. That thinking or creating an opinion is also an action. But the whole point is, does that action liberate me from that feeling, or does it attach me with that feeling? And if I very politely say that, hey, listen, I think you're mistaken. This poem is actually written by me. or this is done by somebody, and you should give due regard to that person. And then that would end it. I would probably not be holding it on, or not be being still getting myself attached to that. So I think what it sort of helps us to understand is first to notice like what is happening within me, and from that decide like, okay, then what action do I need to take? And you're right, most of the times we don't take an action because we like, oh my god, there'll be a confrontation or this or that, but that itself is an awareness. Like, non-action is also an action. If it is really bothering us and if we are not doing anything about it, then the action that we are taking is of avoidance. That's also an action.
Yeah. And we never take action from this full awareness that the universe is taking care of the karmic circle.
Yeah.
We are operating as if we are the karta dharta of this. That's
Yeah.
why the anger, that's why that possessiveness, that's why the jealousy, that whatever way it comes in.
Because silence can really mean different things, no? There could be a silence of like utter peace, like nothing is getting disturbed within you, and then you stay silent, which is completely different. But a lot is happening within me. I am boiling with anger, I am wallowing in frustration, but I'm not saying anything. That silence is not a peaceful, calming, joyful silence. It's actually more harmful. Yeah, and probably creating more karmic burden than actually resolving anything. So going a step deeper and seeing what really is happening. So shall we leave it till this point today? And next week we can begin with the next verse, because this is also a point of reflection for, it's a good point of reflection basically.
Yeah. Thanks again.
Thank you so much,
Uh,
and I'll
we'll
see
see
you.
in person.
Yeah. Okay, take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.